we kind of went on this mission. We wanted to find what was still left of the steam train here at the fort. When we were heading over here to Fort Wilderness, I was looking at kind of the checklist of things that you could do within the fort, and I found out there used to be an old steam train that ran through here. Now it was only a short amount of time, 5 years, like from 1974 to 1979, but there's still places in the fort where you can find pieces of what used to be the Disney Railroad at Fort Wilderness. We're gonna head over to where some of the train tracks used to be, and some of it is right here. As you pull into the 700 loop, if you come right up to there's a pet walk area on the left-hand side here. That's where you can go back and see the berms. This is really cool. We're right between loops 6 and 700, and you can see what's left of the old steam tracks that came through Fort Wilderness. And if you look right here, there's still ties embedded into the ground, and you can see the trail going both directions. You can see the ties just going straight across here. So this is where the tracks used to go to take you back to Pioneer Hall. The steam engine was short-lived at Fort Wilderness. It went into service in 1974, and they took it out of service in 1979, and I think by 1980 it was all boarded up. I guess the problems that they had with it was derailing constantly. The engineers weren't keeping enough water in the engine as it went around, so it would strand passengers somewhere on the track.
The tracks were basically falling apart, and there were accidents were happening, so it wasn't safe. So they shut it down.
In 1979, the train hit a girl on a bike, and I think at that point Disney just kind of pulled the plug, and at that point they adopted the bus system, and the train system just never came back. People still walk this. We were out here the other day and we found some other train enthusiasts just walking the tracks to take a look at it. There's no rail in this section. All the rail's been moved. My father and my grandfather both worked for Union Pacific Railroad. I'm not sure that that's what got me interested in trains. Last year, Union Pacific took a big boy, 4014, a big steam engine that hasn't been on the tracks for over 60 years, and they rebuilt it. And we went to the christening of that in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we chased it. So we chased it from Cheyenne all the way down to Salt Lake, basically 35 miles per hour. What we would do is we would stop at an intersection, watch it go by, and then jump in the car and race to the other section. I know it sounds a little crazy, but there was a whole group of us doing it. The engines that used to go through Fort Wilderness were steam engines. So the tracks ran right back here on the back side of all these sites. If you look back behind some of these sites, you can actually see the berm coming through. I think some of the video I saw online, there was still rail at some point, but now we walked that whole trail, and it's just, there's trail, there's gravel, and there's ties. And right past the 700 loop, as you're heading toward the front of the park, you can see where the tracks went back right there. Even up here to the grassy part, there's pieces of ties still hanging out right next to the road. Toward the front where the four-way stop sign is, as you're exiting the park, you can see the clearing in the trees here. This is where the tracks were, and the train would come through this direction, taking you to the back of the park. Is that 1500?
Yeah, there's a bridge right here going over this canal.
Uh-huh.
If you look, just as you're coming to the bridge, if you look to the right, you can see some spars just off, literally off the road. It used to go back all along the canal.
Yeah, and it's like buried in trees and everything back in here now, because this is probably like where the dog park is, right?
Right.
So that was cool. That's the perfect guy I was looking for our whole train track quest.
Try
so we're gonna
this
go
out.
take the canoe that you can rent down at the bike barn, and it does just a big circle. But the most exciting thing for me about the canoe is maybe I could see train tracks on the backside. I mean, the most exciting thing for me about the canoe is the calm water and spending some time with Sarah as we row
Our boat?
into peace.
Wow. Sounds like you have some.
But the train tracks do run on the back side of the little stream that you canoe on, and we might be able to see it. So we're here, can you see us? And we're gonna float over here. This is where we went for the train tracks, and the train tracks go right around this outer edge. So maybe as we're in the water.
So where's the road?
Oh,
Right
here's
here?
the road. No, the road. This is the road that comes into the camp.
Oh, cool. I didn't
So
know
we're
we
going
had to go
out.
around
We're going
there.
out in the wilderness area.
Oh, that is cool. I didn't know that.
So you guys just need to initial, sign, print, and date.
And this is the one yesterday that the lady said made me look too. uncomfortable is how she said it. She didn't call me fat, she just said, you look a little uncomfortable on that.
That's the one?
Yeah, it was the size.
Do you want to sing like row, row, row your boat? I kind of want to.
That's where the train came across.
It did? Wait,
Right.
on the bridge?
Right here. Straight across this.
Really? So we found the train tracks. Ryan did.
Right there.
Where?
Right there. Look up to your left.
Oh yeah, I see them. I see them, I see them. That's cool. I wonder if I zoomed in if you can see them, I bet. Wait, I think you can see them.
See him suspended
Yep.
in the air.
I can see them.
Stood right there.
I see
Of
them.
course, you can get to this left side.
That's cool, but you could see it though.
It'd be cool if they would mark this stuff with like Disney Railroad. Right across from the tennis courts at the 1500 loop, you can still see where the trail or the tracks would have crossed the road. There's still ties embedded into the ground heading off to what would have been the trestle. So right next to the 1500 loop, right across the stream, you can still see the berm where the train would come back from what is now the dog park. It would come on that backside by the stream, come on that berm, and there was a trestle here that came across to go right next to the 1500 loop. If you look right here, you can actually see buried in here in this grass right here, you can still see ties that trail and go across the street to what is now the sidewalk, which would be the return path back up to the front of the station. To that same guardrail at the 1500 loop, you can still see some of the fencing underneath that was in place back then. That berm, you can still see the rock ballast where the tracks were there going all the way around the back of the park. You can still see parts of where it went into the trestle and some of the existing rail still going to the back side of the loop. I did ask a Disney cast member before I came back here if I could just come right up over this hill. But if you look at this, it's well overgrown. You can see the track extending where it'd be to the back side of the stream where the dog park is now. It's amazing to see just how overgrown this all is. Now if you think about it, it went out of service in like 1979, 1980, but this is just well overgrown. That's 40 years. It's very interesting to see just how thin this rail is, and you can see it rusting away all at the bottom. So as we're walking away from the 1500 loop, the sidewalk that we're walking on back to the front of the park would have been the rail tracks. Makes sense. You can see the ties coming across the road there at the bridge heading over to this area. They converted most of the track into sidewalks in the public areas. I'm sure there's things we missed. If you know of other remnants of the Disney Railroad, leave it below in the comments. We'll catch it next time. If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you give us a quick thumbs up. We're going to leave you with number 4 rolling into the station. See you next time.
Make sure you get them. Let's go.